Will we retain the title? Will we win the Champions League? All will be revealed in today's episode. Run the intro. The January transfer window was quiet, with the only signings being youngsters Carlos Cruz and Patrice Campos. We kicked off the new year with wins against Leicester and Brentford before we travelled to Fulham, where two very impressive goals from Kepren Thuram and a Gianluca Scamacca penalty saw us walk away with a 3-0 win. That's 5 consecutive wins in the league, which sees us go back to the top of the table. Turning our attention quickly to the League Cup, we faced a Premier League team in every single round. Thankfully though, we were able to get past Manchester City, Newcastle and Everton to set up a semi-final tie against Liverpool. We led through Gianluca Scamacca before Curtis Jones made it 1-1, and Trent Alexander-Arnold made it 2-1 with this free kick. Once again, question marks over Illan Meslier.
What? Are you kidding me?
And it was Darwin Núñez who ensured a 3-1 first leg win for the hosts. The second leg started the same as the first, with Scamacca putting us 1-0 in front. And just like the first leg, Liverpool equalised this time through Núñez. And not long after, Liverpool extended their aggregate lead thanks to Luis Diaz. Lucas Paqueta levelled from the penalty spot just before half-time, meaning we were still 2 goals down in aggregate with a second half to play. Make that 3 goals down, with Núñez scoring just 20 seconds into the second half. We tried to come back thanks to goals from Lucas Paqueta and a lovely finish from Giovanni Reina, but unfortunately for us the damage was already done and Liverpool were in the League Cup final. Back to league action, and following a 2-2 draw away at Southampton, we went full set-piece FC against Manchester United. We scored not from 1, not from 2, not from 3, but from 4 corners in a 5-0 win. FM have actually made corners less effective with the most recent patch, so I think it's just safe to assume that Manchester United are just rubbish at defending them. We were looking absolutely unstoppable in the league, with more wins coming against Stoke, Aston Villa and Newcastle United. Although there was some bad news, with star striker Gianluca Scamacca ruled out for about 4 weeks with a thigh strain. We had back-to-back London derbies against Arsenal and Chelsea up next. And after some horrendous defending from the Gunners, it was Youssoufa Moukoko who gave us the 1-0 win with about 4 minutes left. It wasn't the greatest start against Chelsea, however, with Lukaku once again scoring against West Ham. Fortunately again, Moukoko came to our rescue, scoring this lovely first-timed effort into the bottom corner. And Gianluca Scamacca marked his return from injury by setting up Andreas Schjelderup to score the winner and give us a 2-1 victory. Which means that with 9 games to go, we still sit top of the table with a 6-point lead. Gianluca Scamacca scored his first goal since returning from injury in a 4-0 win at home to Brighton before we took on managerless Manchester City, who have just sacked Carlo Ancelotti. It was a rather comfortable 2-1 victory with a masterclass from Lucas Paqueta. The Brazilian scored twice, including this absolute gem of a free kick. It was a brilliant 3 points, and it set us up perfectly for our next game at home to Liverpool. And let me tell you now, viewers, this is one of the games of the season. The visitors took the lead through Mohamed Salah before we levelled things up not long after through Gianluca Scamacca. Kvaratskhelia then decided to make things interesting by trying to murder Diogo Jota and getting himself sent off. And Liverpool made the man advantage count, taking the lead again through Mo Salah, though again I have to question Meslier in goal. Despite being down to 10 men though, we weren't prepared to give up, and after a fantastic pass from Lucas Paqueta, Scamacca once again levelled the scores. Those two linked up yet again, this time Scamacca providing the assist for Paqueta, who ran through and scored a lovely finish past Alisson to give us a 3-2 lead going into half-time. We were holding on for dear life, but unfortunately for us Liverpool were quite good and made it 3-3 through Darwin Núñez. There was, however, to be one more twist when deep into injury time, substitute Gio Reyna played in Gianluca Scamacca, who sealed his hat-trick and secured us a 4-3 win. Which means we are 9 points clear with just 6 games to go, meaning our chances of retaining the title are looking very good. So the league is going really well, but as I mentioned in the last episode, the Champions League is the competition that I've really got my eye on. But before we turn our attention to that, just a reminder, if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel, and if you're enjoying this video and the series as a whole, make sure you drop a like, just because it helps the channel out massively, and I'd really appreciate it. So after winning our last 2 games against Dinamo Zagreb and Cluj, we secured our place in the top 8 of the league and guaranteed a spot in the first knockout round, where we were drawn against Monaco. And it was a tie that we were able to comfortably navigate ourselves through. The first leg ended in a 2-0 victory for us, with goals coming from Youssoufa Moukoko and Mykhailo Mudryk. And it was more of the same in the second leg, where we raced into a 2-0 lead thanks to a brace from Giovanni Reina, his second of which is most certainly a contender for goal of the season. What a hit, son. Gianluca Scamacca backed a brace of his own, with the second one coming as a result of a hilarious mistake from the Monaco goalkeeper. And we run out 4-1 winners on the night, 6-1 winners on aggregate, setting us up for a quarter-final tie against Zinedine Zidane's Porto. And it turns out that having a multiple Champions League winning manager is no match for us, as we ran out 2-0 winners in the first leg thanks to goals from Joe Bellingham and, of course, Gianluca Scamacca. This result set us up perfectly for the second leg, meaning we were able to rest a bunch of key players. Thankfully though, we've got a very strong squad, and after 2 goals from Yusuf Moukoko and Giovanni Reina, we were able to wrap up the tie as 5-0 winners on aggregate, booking our place in the semi-final, where we will be taking on the mighty Barcelona. For the first time in these knockouts, we had the home leg first. And the London Stadium atmosphere certainly played a part as Scamacca gave us a 1-0 lead just 2 minutes in. And just 20 minutes later, it was 2-0, Scamacca again getting on the score sheet. Scamacca then turned provider for Lucas Paqueta, who fired past to Sagan to make it 3 before the big Italian sealed his hat-trick with about half an hour to go, firing home from a Ben Johnson cross and giving us an amazing 4-0 first leg victory. The second leg saw Barcelona trying to mount a comeback, but after yet another goal from Scamacca and eventually Kepran Turam, we finally booked ourselves a place in our first ever Champions League final against our old friends Liverpool. So we're top of the Premier League and we're in the Champions League final. But how's the FA Cup going for us? We had quite a comfortable run in the FA Cup, getting past Swindon, Leeds, Leicester and Wolves. Meaning we have a semi-final, once again, against Liverpool. Now, we've had some incredible battles against Liverpool so far this season. And this one was no different, with Lucas Paqueta giving us a 1-0 lead with this fantastic effort. But of course, Liverpool pegged us back this time through Mo Salah. Just 10 minutes later though, we had our lead back through an unlikely goal scorer in Ben Johnson. Stopping Liverpool from scoring seems to be an impossible task, and they will level once again this time through Curtis Jones.
What?
And before we knew it, Liverpool were 3-2 up thanks to Diogo Jota. But that lead only lasted less than 10 minutes thanks to Lucas Paqueta firing it home to make it 3-3 and sending the game to extra time. And just 3 minutes into extra time, Vlahovic capitalised on some yet more awful goalkeeping from Meslier to make it 4-3 to Liverpool. But somehow there was still time for one more twist. Andreas Shoulder-Up's cross found Paqueta at the back post and he nodded it down for substitute Giovanni Reina to level the scores once again and send the game to a penalty shootout. Both teams were able to convert their first 3 penalties. And it was youngster Joe Bellingham who put us 4-3 up before James Ward-Prowse stepped up for Liverpool. And the former Southampton man was denied by Meslier, meaning Yusuf Moukoko was able to fire us into the FA Cup final, where we'll be taking on Liverpool's neighbours, Everton. Which brings us nicely back to league action, where of course we have a Premier League title to try and retain. Despite a defeat against Norwich, wins against Spurs, Leeds and Wolves means that we need just a point in our league game against Everton to retain our Premier League title. And we got off to a terrible start, with the visitors scoring their first shot on target. We weren't behind for long though, thankfully, thanks to an own goal from Jared Branthwaite. Cheers mate, appreciate it. Now obviously a draw would have been enough, but we wanted to secure the title with a little bit of style, which we were able to do with goals from Inacio and a wonderful finish from Giovanni Reina. The game finishes 3-1, and with that we have retained our Premier League title. That's right, we have gone back to back, making our second league title in just 4 seasons. We round off the season with a 3-2 win against Middlesbrough, meaning that we finish on 94 points, 30 wins from 38 games, 4 draws and just 4 defeats. And I'm delighted to announce that Gianluca Scamacca has finally secured the golden boot for this season, finishing with 32 goals. He also finishes top of the average ratings, followed by Kepran Turam and Kvaratskhelia, with Andreas Shoulder-Up finishing with the second most amount of assists. Unsurprisingly, Scamacca finishes the season with the most amount of Player of the Match awards, while Illan Meslier has indeed finished with the most amount of clean sheets. I have no idea how, to be honest. So that's the Premier League secured, meaning we have 2 more trophies that we could win this season. Starting off, of course, with the FA Cup, where we're playing Everton in the final. Now, given our rather hectic end to the season, I decided to take a risk and rotate for the cup final. And that decision looked to be a bad one when Wout Weghorst gave Everton the lead. I demanded a response at half-time, and thankfully we got one, with Yusuf Moukoko winning the ball back, racing through and drawing us level. Everton replied immediately though, with Weghorst getting on the end of a Dwight McNeil cross to make it 2-1. We also responded immediately, with Bellingham playing in Moukoko, who got his second of the game, drawing us level once again and sending it to extra time. And it was in extra time where we finally took control of the game. And Moukoko sealed his hat-trick after running onto a brilliant ball from substitute Gianluca Scamacca. Moukoko wasn't done there though, he got his 4th after poking home from a deflected effort inside the penalty area. Kepran Turam came off the bench to score 2 fantastic efforts to round off a wonderful 6-2 victory and secure us our second FA Cup of the series. So then viewers, that's the Premier League won, the FA Cup won. How are we going to get on though in the Champions League final against Liverpool? Well, to find out, you are going to have to tune in to the next video. That's right, we'll be doing the Champions League final as a live comm episode, and that will be out on Wednesday. This gets uploaded on the Monday. The next video of the Champions League final will be out on the Wednesday. So even more reason to make sure to be subscribed to the channel so you do not miss that upload. Regardless of what happens in the Champions League final, I'm sure we can all agree it's been another very, very successful season. And with that in mind, with 2 Premier Leagues, 2 FA Cups, a League Cup to our name, and obviously we are very close to winning the Champions League, I think this season, regardless of what happens in the final against Liverpool, is probably a good thing to draw to a close. So the next episode is most likely going to be the final episode of this series. So again, if you have enjoyed this series overall, make sure you hit that like button, get in the comments section. First of all, let me know how you think the season has gone, and 2, let me know what save you'd like me to do after this one. And until then, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for watching. And as always, if the next episode is out by the time you are watching this, I'll make sure to include it on the end screen so you can click right through. One thing left to say as always, come on you Irons.